yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be recommending that. I did, anything. I don't know. If you're attracted to that, you're attracted to that. But yeah, I mean.
Try it and see.
Yeah. Do you think vegetarianism, it makes any difference if you're eating vegetables? Does it?
There's definitely evidence of more, experiencing more subtle states when you create retreat conditions, right? So you're in a retreat, there's no normal stimulation, there's silence, you're eating very little, you're not getting heavy protein, heavy dairy. You're likely, your dreams are going to become more and more vivid, you might start to get visions. It's inevitable, like sensory deprivation times, people start to see stuff, don't they? So at a certain point there's a compensatory part of the brain that sort of starts to create experience. You're in a desert island, you start to hallucinate your experience. I don't know, I think, maybe I just got that from that movie with Tom Hanks. But because we can't live in isolation, we're relational beings and we start to break down when we're isolated. So it's good if you're interested in those states. It can be very, very blissy. You can start to get very spiritual type dreams. And
if the Buddha had to eat, I think I'll eat.
Yeah, I find it interesting that it was after eating that it sort of happens. There's something like that, because in my mind I sort of associate it with like a high energy state that precedes like Kundalini experiences or whatever. It seems to come after like an intensity of feeling, or maybe like intense joy or intense fear or something. So maybe that's it, coming back into life in this whatever somehow just makes sense to me, but it's there's no conclusion I can draw from any of that, but it's maybe the relaxation physical as well. There's something like when you go to bed at night and you're relaxing, maybe if you've got Kundalini energy or something, it'll start kicking off like crazy because you're just kind of letting go a bit. You might find your arms doing it or whatever the fuck,
Yeah. I think if my range is wider, if I can tolerate a wider range of experience, then paradoxically my experience is less intense, because I'm not just, it's like a small feeling isn't going to spin out of control and become more intense. But I could experience it if that's what happened.
I'm not entirely sure what you meant.
I don't know. Sorry, it wasn't even a question. So. I guess it's the. I think sometimes there's a thing in the lore that you just have no feelings and you're just like in a constant state of bliss. But that's probably not true.
What, that you can be in a constant state without feeling, or?
Like some spiritual models like Zen or Mahayana Buddhism, it's a no feelings model. Like at some point you extinguish all feeling. Or you extinguish all, but I think it's more extinguishing reactivity. So you can still have a feeling, but you're not identified with it, and therefore you're not just reacting, you're responding in the flow.
Which is, there probably will be more of that after awakening, unless there's trauma there and you're a fight responder, in which case, and everybody can react differently in any instant anyway. So, because if your first go-to is kind of anger, it's likely, instead of responding, you're just gonna go, like get angry. I think a lot of these things are, like the systems and stuff, they're very absolute and they're very incremental, as if, okay, all feeling will drop away and then bliss will drop away. I mean, it's just, there doesn't seem to be any kind of rule to how this emerges. There are periods of more stillness, and then there could be periods of more noise, inner noise, or you know, meditation's like that for so many people, isn't it? It's not like, you know, they'll go through a period where everything drops away in a meditation, it's just silent and it's very blissy and it's very lovely, and then just go. I think everything tries to make it seem like there's just this continual dropping away, but the acceptance is, there's a radical acceptance, it's just, you know, it's unpredictable, this, what arises in any moments, it really is, and there's no system to it, and there's no further dropping away. There is more stuff definitely that comes to light psychologically speaking, and there's more awareness of, you know, and I don't know, I can't speak for everyone in that as well. Not everyone really gives a damn about that. I mean, you only do if you're that way inclined. You know, you may not care. So yeah, depending on the psychology as well. So because I mean, maybe if you're narcissistic, not seriously like narcissistic personality disorder, but on the spectrum, I mean, it's other people around you are suffering anyway, so not you. So why would you care about your psychology? They have to care about theirs. But I mean, I think the really high up the spectrum, they do suffer quite a lot from their own stuff as well. So I don't know. It's just the worry about that, those kind of paths as well, as you think, you know, you think you're making progress. You think you're getting somewhere, and then you try to deny the fact that you know, like something's come along, and now you're caught up in something, and I think you're more prone to try to suppress things, and then you'll push yourself harder in your meditation, or you'll eat even less. You know, I don't know.
Go to more non-duality meetings.
Yeah, because we can't avoid that. The way the mind is just rigged, it's just looking for a solution, or it's impossible. You just can't argue with that, and when you're in that as well.
Do you think it's just like marketing, like it's just that it helps for people to believe that there's like this eternal bliss available, so that brings people to whatever system, but the truth is it's just about being with whatever is here.
But I find it astonishing that people can project onto almost nothing. Like some of the speakers who say, you know, very absolutely, so nothing's happened, and they won't talk about anything else. No, I mean, there's nothing happened, no before and after, and just as bad before as that. You know, there was no awakening. Okay, which is true in a sense, but seekers can still project onto that, like, and a great deal. And it's like, what is the hook there? Like. They're actually projecting onto something that sounds through the mind. I mean, you can see it. It sounds shit. But so what is it that's sought then? Like, you know, and very often, well, is it? I'm not going to mention any names or anything. Do they want to be that person? Or, you know, because that's often desire, isn't it? It's, you know. So someone advertising perfume, it's not that you just want the perfume, you want to be the very hot man or woman or whatever with the perfume, with that lifestyle that seems to indicate. So it's not, the object is related to the model. So in the case of the person at the front, they may be selling you fuck all, the emperor's new clothes kind of situation. It would take someone who knows nothing about non-duality, maybe a kid, to just go, that sounds, you know, why do you want that? I mean, why would you want that? You know? And yet, we do. We're totally irrational. And then why do we believe it? Why do we believe even the bliss stuff? Like, we can't access that in ourselves. We're like, but it must exist. I'm drawn here. And then there's a story, well, it resonates and we were born into this. But really? We don't even know that, actually. So... I mean, some of us may remember it, in which case it is kind of sensed more deeply, but...
That must be part of the mechanism anyway. That's not necessarily a bad thing, that people are coming with their projections and then suddenly they fall away, and that's...
Unless they're coming to some, you know, the classic situation where you know, you hand over your power to the spiritual teacher and you get exploited in one way or another, or like, you know. But almost like there's something seductive about the nothing being offered. Even that is almost like, I suppose if you're almost like self-destructive or something, it's, well, the truth has to look ugly, but I want it nevertheless. I want it like, you know, without questioning it. Of course, bliss is false. Like, how could anybody, you know, it's still just a prejudice. It's still just an idea. Bliss does exist. I mean, it can arise, but it's just easier. I think that's why I sort of talk the way I do, because you know, conversations that have with friends who are awake, or you know, partner or whatever, you know, that you don't go around talking like that. You know, you just talk about the shit that's going on in your life, and you moan about it, or you have a laugh about something. And you know, it's like you start to think that there really is a difference in character. Well, you know, I could think that, like J.D. Krishnamurti, you had read, like, looking at him now, like, he just seems like a dry, you know, like a really dry man. Like, he just seems like, I loved his stuff, like, I did, and I was in a meditative state when I was reading him, and I love the stuff about the mind. But man, and he talks so slowly. What's holy about that? But we're seduced by that as well. It's another appearance that slow speaking. It's another ideal in a way. Like, there must be a difference. It must be visible. It must be audible. But I think we still fall for that even after awakening, as in the sense of if someone looks intelligent, they speak intelligent, they must be intelligent. And you know, we're always duped by appearances. It's, you know, there's never a kind of, to some extent, I think it falls away a lot, but you still have to sort of, we're still surprised when we hear stuff about people, aren't we? We're still like, oh, wow, you know, I don't know.
What do you think of Eckhart Tolle? And I realised we're recorded, so I don't know if you want to.
It's alright to talk about him because he's so big and he wouldn't give a shit.
I really like him. I realise he's got a,
Yeah, I know what I mean. I like the beginning of The Power of Now, but yeah.
No, he's talking about manifestations.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I didn't think, yeah, I don't know, his description of it I really liked as well, but yeah. No, he's very good at talking about what he does talk about, you know, the delivery of that, because he does deal with, he has a very particular audience, doesn't he, and whatever, so, yeah. And then even though, like, you know, obviously it's a way of expressing it very, very slowly that holds the delivery, it is quite calming.
Yeah.
It's quite good, you know. It's, you know.
I missed it earlier when you were talking about your awakening. Did you say were you like making positive changes in your life, or was it just completely out of the blue? Sorry if you already said it.
No, it was out of the blue, and it was after a lot of negative changes in my life. Yeah, but I mean, positive things fell away afterwards, like certain relationships and stuff. You know, just because we weren't compatible anymore, like, or I became unbearable because I was like staring at things or like smiling too much, or I don't know. It's just.
Because there's this idea, I guess, we all have, like, from your positive changes, like, good things will naturally arise.
Yeah, it's chicken and egg though, like, isn't it? 'Cause, yeah, if you can do that, I mean, it's a very good thing to do, isn't it? I mean, after awakening, before awakening, it's just if it's sustainable, you know, because often really it's kind of, you know, getting in touch with more of the internal stuff, you know, all the different emotions that can really change what's going on in your life, and good friendships as well, and good relationships, because you're always internalizing the other as well, whether they're negative, whether they're positive. So if you have good people around you, you're kind of getting an understanding of what that is and what normal is, and, you know, a springboard for that. And so change can come from that. And if you can't do good relationships, you know, have a pet or something, you know, something living, like. But I think for me it's like, you know, your relationships are just so important, and you know, and but yeah, if not, there are books, there are books as well, and they're like, but yeah, I don't know, but yeah, if you can make positive changes. Cool. And sometimes it just happens out of the blue, doesn't it? You find yourself thinking differently, or something just shifts, and a desire, which they often equate with Kundalini, like suddenly you get a desire to do something you've never done before, and it just drags you, a bit like falling in love or travelling or something, you know, like it can bring out courage you never had before, make you do things you never have done before, but sometimes it's just nothing to do with that, it's just an energy that you just cannot rationalize. It just, you know, like, but otherwise you can, yeah, there's certain things you can do, you can change.
Do you still practice Kundalini?
Well, it's not, I mean, it's not a practice unless it's Kundalini yoga, so it's just there's Kundalini awakening here, so that process continues, and it tends to become intense at certain periods and less intense at other periods. And
so what's the difference? As in, I imagine Kundalini is a lot of breath work and sitting.
oh, Kundalini yoga?
Yeah, is that not what you meant? Or,
No, I just mean the experiences. So
okay.
Kundalini itself is like, you know, visions, inner sounds, inner pictures, expanded states, out-of-body states, kriyas, which are spontaneous movements.
Oh, okay, it's a language for describing it as you're using it.
Yeah, it has a core, like either the inner light, which goes on indefinitely, or there's energy movement in the body, like electricity, that goes on indefinitely, and then experiences arise from that. And once you've got like the process is based on either the light or the energy. Once you've got that going, it tends not to leave you, and you will get experiences throughout your life. So it's very rare. Some people get a one-off Kundalini experience, but it's not Kundalini awakening. It's just maybe they'll get an electric shock going up their spine, the traditional kind of, you know, light pictures, whatever. But that's just a Kundalini experience. Or you might interpret it different, you know, the Christians see Kundalini as the Holy Ghost, or I don't know, all the different traditions, but it's interesting, it's good fun, and it can be transforming as well, so, and it may or may not accompany awakening. Very often there's a few of those experiences. I mean, bliss can happen in the absence of awakening, just as Kundalini experiences and no mind states, and, you know, psychic phenomenon, and, you know, all that stuff. But some people find it really problematic because it can bring up a lot of like repressed memories and stuff. So if you've got a really difficult childhood, it can bring up stuff that was, you know, unknown, which can be quite traumatic. I haven't heard much of that. I think there's more of that stuff on YouTube, which gives you quite a skewed view of the whole thing. A lot of people just have benign experiences. Have you had any?
Yeah, over the years I've had different stuff. I mean,
Oh, right, okay.
the palpable experiences like that, generally only when I have been practicing something like Kundalini yoga or on a long retreat somewhere where it seems to get very clean and then you're just walking around and then you have this where I was sitting in satsang once and I felt like real almost orgasmic bliss, and I was just like, weird. Like, how does that just happen? But seems to be a lot of energy in the whole crowd. I'm sure not everyone was having the same.
Oh, it can be quite freaky how. I mean, you're not equivocating. I mean, you can have energy moving that's like, oh, there's energy in my body, and there can be like, the fire hose, and it's like, what is that? Like, it's just not, the physical body couldn't sustain that. What the hell?
And it's not a linear. It's not something that builds up in a sensible way. It's just like, where, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, and it can be orgasmic. It can be spontaneous orgasms, and it's all sorts of wild, crazy stuff can happen.
I mean, it wasn't a sexual thing.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be. I know it can feel so lovely, and the only way to describe that is orgasm. And they call about it, call it ojas, isn't it? Sometimes when the movement of that, it's like ambrosia. The feeling is just so
ambrosia,
amazing. Yeah. And it can be very pinpoint. I know, like in certain parts of your back, it can be intensely pleasurable in just one, area of your. It's really strange the way it works, or it can just explode in different parts of the body, or the whole body can just be in ecstasy. Really, it's extraordinary. I mean, you think you'd have to be rigged up to a machine to feel that, but I don't know any machine that does that. But it's interesting. And you get lucid dreams. Lucid dreams can happen anyway. Like they're not. I mean, that's. It can be interesting. Stuff. It's good fun.
You don't want to do more Kundalini now?
Well, I find it when I'm stimulated somewhere, like if I'm very, very happy, or sleep deprivation, but that can also cause sleep deprivation, or it's...
There's definitely a route to this through, I mean, not the non-dual this, but these experiences through like breath work and the kind of wholesome stuff. I feel like when you're sleep deprived and stuff like that, there's a bit more of a negative, toxic kind of way of getting there. Like taking drugs, for example, is like a bit. Well, they're both haphazard, but somehow breathwork seems to be quite a good way of doing it, isn't it?
Yeah, if it works for you, I mean, I only did breathwork really once. I've done pranayama a few times, and I went to one Kundalini yoga class, and that was it. I got nothing off that, and if I go on a plane flight, it's quite likely I'm going to get some weird phenomena after that.
Frequent flyer, are you?
Yeah, but or something extraordinarily new happens, like you're derailed in some way, or something negative as well. I don't know. It's just. I don't know. Somehow, I guess I understand the retreat thing. It's almost like something different to your daily routine. Almost kind of brings that about, doesn't it? But if it was Kundalini yoga did it, I'd be there every week because it's just so interesting,
It's strange for me. I don't day to day. This stuff wouldn't happen. So I do connect going on longer retreats with these incidences which are very discreet.
Mm-hmm.
As in, you can be just doing the thing, maybe not really enjoying the retreat very much because you're starving and you're just quite bored. But then at a certain point, just these waves of these acts almost in a play come over you, and I don't know what's going on. You could say it's like going to a gig. Sometimes when you go to a gig, you feel a real love of the communal thing.
Uh-huh.
But if you had a gig that long, over a week, maybe at that point you do get these stranger kind of interactions between other people which somehow coalesce as these deeper, more discrete experiences on an individual level. I have no idea.
That makes sense. It does make sense what you're saying. Yeah, sure. You know.
I mean, I've studied physiology and things like that in the past, and there's just there's no language to even describe how that can happen. You know, it's just completely out that, you know, not.
Isn't that stages of insight? I don't know if you come across Vipassana or stages of insight. Sounds like.
I mean, in the spiritual or religious perspective, they do talk about it. I haven't quite heard much about group together as a group. I don't know if that's something, but certainly, you know, Hinduism and non-dual mysticism talks about these different things, isn't it?
And there is something powerful about meditating in a group, or even just two, almost as well. Because I think when you're meditating your own, it's like you don't really have to do it. There's more of a surrender to a meditation when you're kind of with something and you're having to do it as well. I think that kind of makes sense, but there is an energy in a group doing it. Like, I think it is really powerful. So, yeah. But what you're saying does make sense, and it is kind of what's found in retreats anyway. And there are these. Some people will get nothing out of it, of course, and but a lot of people will just go through the stages, like you say. You know, there's a break through the boredom, the frustration, and then subtle experiences start to happen, and the unraveling. But it's a bit annoying if it all comes back.
Which it always seems to. I mean, well, I'd say things get better over time.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a flooding back of the reality.
Yeah.
Is it flooding back, or is it just?
It's more like the airport. You start to sense it at the airport, and then by the time you're back in North London,
Yeah.
Or it can last like a week, I'd say, but it kind of does feel like you're falling off coming down from a high place, weirdly.
Yeah, that's quite common, isn't it?
For me, I think, well, no, that is reality. The other was just like a little holiday.
That's what they say, yeah, but unfortunately I have to live here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think, yeah, cool. I mean, that's the way, because I understand what you're talking about. I'm sure everybody here maybe experiences it. But for me, I thought, well, what if I just said that was a holiday, but the real thing is this, and that's good, if I reframe it. If I see past the attachment to the bliss or the absorption states, then suddenly, it's not like I'm trying to fight the flood. It's like, oh, no, we're back.
Yeah, I feel like I'm talking about it in a sad way, but it's an observation really that this is what's seemingly more common outside of this sort of meeting. And those trips are trips, yeah. And you can't hold on to it as much as you, in the moment you might want to hold on to it, but that's a recipe for losing it even faster.
That's been my experience.
thought like, how much longer will it take? I guess the last time, like, how many more meetings will we all do before we feel liberated or whatever?
It's inevitable.
8 years.
You'll fight that thought. 8 years.
What was the name of the thing you were talking? Kundalini?
Kundalini is a
Yeah,
form of
I've
yoga.
never heard of it. I may search it up.
It's a form of yoga,
Okay.
which isn't so much movement, it's a lot
Okay.
of breathing.
The experiences you were describing seem quite intense, profound. Yeah.
But they're also common in retreats. So if, you know, that may not happen for you, but, or without, you know, if you've already got a Kundalini awakening, you'll get those experiences irrespective of conditions, you know,
Alright.
so.
What's your take on use of psychedelics? Not that I'm condoning anything like that, but just as a kind of gateway to like a more permanent state of bliss after.
I know that from the research, the limited research I've read, that they don't lead, you know, they don't result in a permanent state of this. Like, glimpses are associated with some, and, you know, they're interesting, and I mean, there's so much out there on them now, like they're really in the zeitgeist, and they're good for, I don't know, depression and trauma.
Would you say they're inherently a good thing?
It depends on the person, because it might exacerbate someone's trauma and it might end up in a bad state. But yeah, I think, you know, it's easier to talk about this when you're not sitting in the front of the room, because I have no responsibility here. But in many cases, they can be quite transformative, right? I mean, you see it, everyone's researching it now, and there's a lot of work with psilocybin and ayahuasca is really common, isn't it? And, you know, ketamine for depression, and so it's becoming more commonplace, you know.
But it's not as organic as what you experience.
I think from comparison, like the Kundalini experiences are definitely, I couldn't say in what way, but they're richer than drug-induced ones. Like,
Yeah.
they don't compare for me to me, but they're still, drug ones are very, very interesting. I haven't done, I mean, I did LSD when I was young. I've, you know, psilocybin, you know, just once or whatever, you know, a couple of times maybe, and so I'm not an expert on it, but yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, why wouldn't you kind of explore that?
Yeah.
But I say that with caution, it's up to you. You've got to, you take your risk, you be careful, you know, if you need to be careful. But yeah, I mean, are you thinking of?
I had a bad experience on LSD maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but I think that was largely down to my environment. And then I tried 2CB recently in a completely different environment with people that I'm a lot closer and more comfortable with, and that was a positive experience. So yeah, I'm not like dead set on trying more, but it's something I'm thinking about for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot more people are now. It's kind of, I don't know, it's more available, isn't it? And it's funny, it's become okay to talk about that now, isn't it? Everybody's talking about it, it's just really, yeah.
Just don't put this part on the recording.
Well, the times have really changed. You know, it's just kind of commonplace.
said earlier that if you can't do something like if you can't do good relationships, then have a pet.
Well, you're still getting the unconditional. You're getting unconditional love there, aren't you? With a dog or cats. Cats are narcissists, aren't they?
But you're not saying go get some therapy and meditate and sort out your relationship. You're saying
Oh, you can.
just get a dog.
No, therapy's very good as well. Obviously it's but that's what you can do if you weren't doing therapy, say, because obviously in therapy you're getting insights as well as internalizing the other, and you're getting the counter-transference, which is the therapist's experience of you and your material. So it's kind of rich. But yeah, good enough friendships, good friendships. It's just, yeah, because we get our sense of normality, what's normal and regular from the other, don't we? We're initially from our parents, and which can be, pretty bad experience in a lot of people's lives, can't it? So you internalize what love looks like from seeing maybe a lot of anger or a lot of whatever, neglect or whatever it is. So it does change things. But then you need to be able to identify what a good friendship is. No.
If you're more sensitive, and speaking for myself, like often so sometimes I find I'm in the listener role because it's just what seems helpful, but I also notice thoughts of maybe I should speak too sometimes.
Well, you're in a role that's not authentic right there, so you've reduced yourself to that, and maybe that feels comfortable as well as just.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like you're noticing what's happening. It's like, oh, look at that, I just did the thing.
Because what are you getting back out of that, apart from, feeling good about, what?
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
All of that. The drama triangle and the rescuer. And the
Okay, so you're.
I mean, yeah, it's like, you see it unfolding, but it's like, okay, well, that's just what's happening. Like, okay, maybe you don't like it, so the next thing you try something different.
But the problem is you're used to that listener role as well. You'd probably be attracted to conversational narcissists who would just flood the space, and you're like, oh, this feels good. You maybe meet someone you get on with really well, and it's like, can't think of what to say, or I don't know. It can really trap you, those roles. It really can. I don't know.
Yeah.
At least you're doing it. But they always make good psychotherapists.
Then you make it into a job and you get paid, so that's okay.
Yeah, that's true. And that reinforces it. You're just like, yeah, it's a difficult one, and then if you're in a therapy situation and you've never really spoken about yourself, and it's like, oh my god, I've got to flood this space with, it can be quite difficult, or initially, maybe.
Yeah.
But you don't know who you're with them, because why aren't they asking you questions? Why are they interested in you? Why are they happy to sit there and spout all this,
Yeah, sometimes I've asked, do you realise you cut me off every time? And then obviously they're like, oh, I'm really sorry. But it's a habit, and you just see it's actually hard to change habits, but that's why relationships have to develop over time.
Well, that's a big red flag if someone's cutting you off. It really is.
Do you mean with friendships or when you just meet people?
I don't know, just sometimes it's not like it's all the time, but I notice it when it happens. And
Yes, but you know it's.
then I might avoid that person for sure.
Oh, right, okay.
But I thought, what happens if I actually say it? Some people obviously respond positively, some people don't notice, some people have an excuse, some people...
We'll cut you off and talk about something.
Yeah, I'm sure I cut people off. I'm in a situation where I'm the one who's talking like now. And,
Are you very aware when you speak? Are you trying to monitor, am I taking up too much space? Do you have that?
sometimes, like now in the group, I think.
Okay.
You, sorry?
No, sorry.
You,
I don't have anything to say.
were you showing me what happens when I get cut off?
Great,
Thank you. You can see it live.
No, just I'm conscious of that as well.
Well,
That's what I had to say. Contradicted myself.
That's all I do.
yeah, it's not good, but at least you know you're doing it, right? Because I don't think I
step
know.
one step.
Yeah.
It can be carnage to point out to people what they're doing right in real time, but it can also be a lot of fun.
Yeah, with friends that I'm really close with, like long-term friends, I'll just be honest with them, because then you bottle things up, and then friendships, like intimate relationships, they're still relationships and working on at the end of the day, in my opinion.
What, you working on them?
As in, like, I still think you can work on a friendship, like, as in, yeah, there are things with a lot of my close friends from school that I kind of bottled up, and then I just said it, and then, yeah, improved our friendships a lot. Just little things.
I mean, that works as long as they're okay.
Yeah.
But if you're like really,
Yeah.
because if they're not, like if you're the listener
Mm.
and you're going to be attracted to the conversational narcissist, then the chances are they are not going to ever change. They might say, "I'm really sorry," but they will just go and do it.
What's a conversational narcissist? Because some people, I wouldn't say they're narcissists, but they definitely talk more, take up more of the space.
Well, often they go together, but I think you can just be a conversational narcissist, but don't quote me on that, I'm not sure, but it probably is a sign. I mean, I'm sure not in every case, so maybe, because there's other factors would need to be there to qualify someone as that, and anyway, I'm not a clinical psychologist, but if you can identify other red flags as well, if you can, and
Like what? What red flag?
well, just other red flags, like maybe they're unreliable, maybe they're very entitled, maybe the slightest criticism they'll go into big fiery fireball rage, or maybe they put you down very subtly, or maybe you feel intense fear or intense shame around, or you become the dumping ground for shame, so you're going around feeling shame about stuff, and it's kind of unconscious, you don't realise that it's because they're full of shame and they shame you to kind of offload theirs, and yeah, there could be.
I think it's more people who are a bit disconnected from their own what they're feeling, so that they're releasing the anxiety through hyperverbality or whatever. So I don't think they're they have these other things, but the ones I'm thinking about are more they just like to talk about them.
Well, look at your energy, because if someone is narcissistic or toxic or whatever, you're going to feel more enervated, tireder, and energy vampire sort of territory. A good friendship and you're talking and it's kind of equal because 50-50, 60-40, 40, whatever, but it kind of works out. You tend to feel quite energized by that most of the time, and but we all know someone who dumps on you and you come away just feeling like shit,
Or it's just like, what was that? That's it's okay. I think a few people might cut off soon. But they're not bad. They're not. It's like
They might not even be conscious they're doing it. It may just be like a form of like social anxiety. For some people it's just easier to talk about themselves to avoid any awkward silences or anything like that.
Yeah, I think it's more like
trying to excuse it.
No, I appreciate that you're like, be careful. Like a sense of goodwill.
It could be your very often. I mean, I've noticed this with people, the goodwill, or the last thing I've heard like friends say who realise that they're dating the biggest narcissist in the world. Like, and it was like, oh, they're good-hearted. You know, they're big-hearted. And it's like.
No, I mean, I'm sensing goodwill from you, not from them.
Oh, right.
From them, I'm sensing more of this like anxiety, or it's just something, and it's not spoken. So then there's, for me, it's painful because like the words and the energy don't match.
Okay.
And then
yeah, okay.
It's like my system just wants to settle down, so it goes a bit quiet.
Right.
But that just doesn't seem to help. So then I try like, okay, what if I cut them off? What happens then? But then it feels like sometimes it just doesn't work. So then it's like, well, you just cut this person off. And then maybe that triggers some guilt, or I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, maybe that's something to be explored.
You can't really choose that though, can you? I mean, people fall away, but I think it's really hard to just cut someone off, even if you see that what they're doing is destructive. I feel like something deeper has to...
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
good luck.
No, but that lands in that if I'm not caught in the role, then I don't have to do anything, or I'll do something, but not that I. Yeah, good catch. Thanks.
If you're not in the role and you're being authentic, those guys, toxic people, won't come anywhere near you anyway, because there's no in, there's no fuel there, there's no. They're not getting high off your energy and your whatever it is you're giving them, you know. Just you're listening, or you know. But yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I don't know. Some of those relationships are very addictive as well.
And their family members.
Well, you can't. There's no avoiding that. Like there is. I mean, some people divorce their parents, and sometimes you have to if there's, or distance yourself physically, or just learn to be ruthless. Like it's tough. It really is. If it's, or you share kids with someone who is, or I don't know. That must be awful. It must be having to negotiate that.
Or you could just lower your expectations of the friendship. I feel like certain people I expect them to be this kind of friend, but then I realised, okay, they may lack this certain quality, but they're also good at that. I've just accepted them for what they are as a friend.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, different friends offer different things, don't they?
Yeah, but if they are toxic, it's quite good to keep them as kind of acquaintance rather than close, because they won't impact you so much. And like someone who's a narcissist, they can be very entertaining and like full of life and really interesting actually, so you can't, I mean, can't get rid of all of them.
We have politicians who we vote for, so there must be something about enjoying them.
yeah, admiring them, you know, because they just seem so certain and so confident, so larger than life, don't they? Unless you see through the projection there, in which case, you know, that kind of dissolves.